Hey, everybody. Welcome to Ink and Ambition, episode number 3. The podcast all about creating and building of Crown Comics. My name is Brent Erwin. I am the owner and founder of Crown Comics and will be your host for the podcast. So, as I said before, a little bit about me. I've been in the comic book industry at this point for well on 30 years. I own a comic book store chain here in Texas called Collected Comics Games. I have also published in the past. I've worked for Wizard Magazine. I was advertising sales for those guys. I worked for Acclaim Comics, where I was not event coordinator. I was actually a sales manager for those guys selling advertising. I worked for Diamond Comic Distributors. I owned comic shops back in the 90s. I've basically done just about every aspect of the industry, but the one that I enjoyed the most probably was when I was a founding member and partner of Ape Entertainment, a publishing company in the 90s as well. Published a ton of independent comics, and the reason that I'm starting Crown Comics and why I'm doing this podcast and everything that's associated with it is I just wanted to get back into making comics again. I have a lot of ideas and stuff that I wanted to do that I never got a chance or opportunity to get done at Ape during the time that we were there, because we were extremely busy with all the stuff that we were doing. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity this time around to do Crown Comics the way I want to do this. It has to be fun is my number one rule. If it's not fun, unfortunately, this day and age, I just don't have the time anymore to put up with something that I'm not going to enjoy doing, and I don't want to take away any extra free time that I might have to do something that I'm not having fun doing. So essentially, what I'm going to do with this podcast is just talk about everything that I've done to kind of set up the company. I've gone over, setting up the websites. I've gone over founding the company, doing all the paperwork, all that kind of stuff. So now I want to kind of get into what I call my building blocks, where I'm just going to kind of talk about the things that I did to build up this company to get it started and kind of where we're going. So I took some notes and stuff for myself, so I can kind of keep on track here. So after I got the company set up and all the infrastructure for it built, and I got the website itself built, now it's time to figure out what I want to do. So again, like I said, I have a ton of ideas and a ton of things that I wanted to do and wanted to try. That I was just like, man, I got to get back around to making some comics. I want to do some fun stuff. A couple of projects that I've had in the back burners, I created a superhero character called Heroic, and eventually I want to get around to reprinting the original issues of that were printed or that were done. I only did one actually out of the 3 that were supposed to be done. So I want to finish that series, get it out, get it back into print as comics and as trades. The other thing is I had another idea concept that I came up with that we never did anything with, that I loved. I'm a Micronauts fan from way back as a kid in the 70s, collecting the toys as a kid and getting all those and just enamored with it. And then Marvel did the Micronauts series, which I absolutely loved. So what I wanted to do was create basically my own version, my own love letter, so to speak, to the Micronauts. And I did that in creating a concept of property called the Nanites. And eventually I'm going to be working on a webcomic for Nanites that I'll put out through Crown. It'll be free going up, for everybody to read. And then what I'm going to do is after that, we're going to jump into printing it as an actual comic and then printing it as some collected editions as well. So that's one of the properties that I had. I wasn't quite ready, I didn't think, to launch Crown Comics with Nanites. And the other thing that was important to me about going around this time and doing it was essentially just making sure that the people that I'm working with are people that are friends of mine, that I have a good time when I get together with them and I talk and we just discuss comics. And then we start riffing on different ideas, and everybody kind of brainstorms, and we throw a whole bunch of stuff together, and we come up with these really cool ideas about things that we want to do. And I said, I really want that aspect to be involved in Crown. So when I was toying around with the idea of going back into publishing, one of my old good friends, he actually was one of my first employees at my comic book shop that I had in Waco, Texas, back in the early 90s. Then after that, went on to get his degrees and become a professor and taught college. And then he came back when we started Ape Entertainment and talked to Kevin and invited him back. And he became our editor and editor-in-chief at Ape for quite a long time. And then Kevin went on from Ape to go to Action Lab and basically be editor-in-chief and public. I think, editor-in-chief, I believe, of Crown. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. But he has an incredible career that he has been able to foster both academically and in the comic book industry as well. And Kevin is super smart, enthusiastic, exciting, has great ideas. And he came into the store to visit with me when we were having some back issue sales, and he was in town in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we got to talking about this, and I told him, I said, hey, I'm really interested in wanting to do this again. And he said, dude, if you do this, I want to be involved. I'd love to be able to do something. And I said, okay, well, let me give it some thought. Let me figure out what I want to do. So it was thanks to Kevin, and he actually kind of just spurred me on to it energized me when I talked with him about it and said, hey, I want to do this. And I said, well, you know what? There's a few other people out there that I really want to work with if I do this. And so what I did is I assembled a very short list of people, friends, dear friends of mine that are extremely creative and who have at one point in time expressed to me wanting to do more stuff in comics. So we've got Kevin Freeman. Then we have Jason Burns, who I had the pleasure of working with at Ape Entertainment as well. He came on as one of the head writers. He also took over the position of editor-in-chief after Kevin left. Jason's extremely creative as well. Does a ton of writing. He's got some novels and stuff out right now. Jason also wrote the Pocket God comic for us at Ape Entertainment, and just a ton of other stuff that we were doing. So I was very excited to have Jason say yes, he's interested in being on board. He's got the itch to want to publish comics again. I apologize for my green screen, guys. I don't know what's going on with this thing. But it was really fun to get back with Jason and kind of get him on board too about what we wanted to do. So I got Kevin, I got Jason, then I said, okay, who else? I said, Mike Hall. Mike was one of the founding partners at Ape Entertainment, one of my best friends and first friends that I made when I got into small press publishing and started meeting people that were part of what are called APAs, which are amateur press associations. I met Mike, and he and I hit it off, and he and I, along with another partner, formed Ape Entertainment and did a lot of work and did a lot of creating together and stuff. And Mike is one of those people that, for me, is everything that I have an interest in, Mike has an interest in as well. And we just click so perfectly when it comes to creating concepts and working together on building worlds and plotting. And I am not the best of writers. It's more of a struggle for me to write, but I can definitely create and world build and create characters and concepts and things like that. And I just love working with Mike as a writing partner on different projects because he gets it. I can give him a 2 or 3 line explanation of what I got in my head, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I know where you're coming from. I know exactly what you're looking for." And it has proved to be the case multiple times over and over and over again. So I got Mike, and he said yes, he's interested. So I got him on board. And then I'm like, okay, well, there's a couple other guys I want to talk to. The next would be my buddy Mark Finn. I have known Mark since we were probably, he in high school in Waco and me in high school in Coolidge, where I grew up. We met at the comic book store where we all used to go and buy comics back when we were in our early teens and 20s. And Mark is an extremely prolific creator and a great writer and just a wealth of knowledge and information and creativity that just, like all these guys, he's one of those that just, you can talk to him about something, and we all have since we're all the same age, we all have very similar frames of reference, and we get that little thing going on, with each other where we kind of know exactly what we're kind of looking for. And I absolutely love working with Mark. We brought him on board when we had Ape Entertainment. He wrote Scouts with me, which is a book near and dear to my heart that I absolutely loved. It was a concept I came up with. And I couldn't think of anybody else who would be better right at the mark. And we reached out and he said yes. He also did the Fruit Ninja comic that we were working on. I don't think we ever got that published, but it was going to be an app comic that was coming out for Ape. Mark just knocked it out of the park every single time we did something. And I reached out and had a chat with him, when I was getting ready to do this, and said, "Hey, brother, I want to do something, and I really want you involved in all this." And we talked about some stuff, and the more we talked about it, Mark was like, "Yeah, I'm on board. Let's do this. Let's have some fun." So, keyword fun, very fun. And then I said, okay, there's one other person I know for sure that I want to reach out to and get involved in this, and his name is Michael Murphy. And Michael was one of my customers when he was a kid in Waco at my first comic shop I had there. And we talked comics and just had a great time when he would come into the store. And then he got up, grew up, got older, got married, had kids. And then we met a second time around when I had moved back to Texas, and we kind of connected again and started talking and everything. And Michael had the brilliant idea of wanting to be able to read comics on his phone. And he founded Iverse Media, which was the first company to basically take comics and cut them and present them in a reader to be able to read them on your phone. Michael went on and did a lot of great things with Iverse and other stuff, and has worked with some gaming companies to create different video games and card games and board and all kinds of things. And I just love Michael's creativity. I love his energy. I love how he tackles a project and just jumps on board, and he doesn't just stick his hands in, he jumps in head first. And it's just that sheer energy and joy and just how creative that he can be when he's so passionate about something. And I said, that I want somebody who's got that energy and that passion to be on board with me when we're doing this. And reached out to Michael, shot a couple ideas to him back and forth about what I was thinking. We had a couple of business calls about some stuff that he's involved in, and it just went from there. And it was like, okay, we're good. So what I did is I brought all of these guys on, and I said, listen, I want all of you to be a part of what I'm calling the Crown Comics Advisory Board. And I put Kevin Freeman, Jason Burns, Michael Hall, Mark Friend, and Michael Murphy on as the advisory board for Crown Comics. And essentially they're there for me to bounce ideas off of when I've got decisions I need to make about the company and things that I just want another voice. I want to hear whatever somebody else has to say. I can reach out to these guys, and they're there to help me and give me advice, whatever we want. At the same time, they're all on board as creators, because every single one of them is super creative, and I wanted us all to be able to work together and play in the same playground and have fun. So that leads me to, after assembling a gathering of friends, that brings me to what's our first project going to be. And I wanted something that was fun, that we all would enjoy. And it hit me one day. I said, I know what I'm going to do. We're going to launch Crown Comics with an anthology title. And I decided to call it Saturday Morning Comics. And that is because we all loved Saturday mornings as a kid growing up. And I said, what a perfect way for us to take, everybody gets, like 8 to 10 pages in this anthology book. And we're going to go out and create properties and concepts and IP or intellectual properties that we all own. And we're going to create these for this particular anthology as if we were creating a Saturday morning cartoon strip or cartoon show. And we're going to just do our versions of things that we think would have been fun, that we would have enjoyed, watching at that time, and present them as a comic book, since there are no cartoons on Saturday mornings anymore. So that's kind of what we've got started. We have Saturday Morning Comics Anthology in the works right now. And myself, I know as a creator, one of the things that I intend the anthology to put it out, as many times a year as we can actually get it out. But it's just, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of people to have to coordinate. So what I'm trying to do is, I have a tendency to work on multiple story concepts at the same time, because what I've discovered is I'm sure anybody that's creative knows, you reach a certain point on something where you get writer's block or this creative block. where it's just so hard to get past it because you're thinking so hard about the thing that you're trying to do that you just can't get out of your own way sometimes and get past that mental block that you've got. So what I've discovered works really well for me and always has, even during my times at Ape, is that if I have, let's say, 3 or 4 different projects that I have, or ideas, or property IP that I have that I'm working on, what it allows me to do is to shift my gears, because each one of those that I'm working on is very different from the other one, so that it's not all the same genre, it's not all the same type of characters, it's all different stuff. And that's kind of what I have now. Is I've got about 3 or 4 projects that I'm going with, a couple more on the back burner for later ideas. And the idea is to do each one of these as an 8-page installment inside the Saturday Morning Comics Anthology. And then what I'll eventually do is let people that have read it and people that visit the website and follow me here vote on which ones of these properties they would like to see expanded into a full comic or into a mini series or something like that. So it's pretty much going to be, you're going to get to vote basically here once we get enough stuff out about which properties that you want to see us expand, what you want to see us do. And that goes for anything that the guys are creating as well too, other than just myself. If you see one of the other properties in the anthology, you're like, guys, this needs to be a 3-issue miniseries, or you need a one-shot for this, let us know. And we can, if we get enough response from it, we can always do that book as a one-shot or a miniseries or a graphic novel or something like that. But that's kind of what we're going to do, is we're going to test the waters by putting a lot of different properties out there and letting you guys decide and tell us what you think would be the thing that you want to see the most. So that's kind of where we got to at this point. Kind of like where I'm at and what I'm working on, the different properties and things that we're going into. What I'm going to be doing here over probably the next couple of weeks or month or so as we go forward is inviting the guys to come on into the podcast, and we'll jump into each one of the ideas that they've come up with and kind of go from there. And we'll describe a little bit about it. We'll show you a little bit of the concept work and stuff that we're having done for it. And that's the most fun part for me, is world building and character concept creation. I absolutely love that. It's just so much fun to basically take nothing and build an entire world full of characters out of it, and to just put your passion into it. It's just a blast. So anyway, we're going to reach out to the guys and have them on the podcast and let each of them talk about what they have going on. And I can tell you right now, one of the first things that I have been working on is Mike Hall and I created a set of characters along with their other partner at Ape called Go-Go Gorilla and the Jungle Crew, which was essentially our love letter to Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew from DC Comics back in the day. We all 3 loved that series just so much. I cannot explain how much. And it made an impression on us, and we wanted to do our own version of it. We had an opportunity to do one summer special for that, and then we did a number of free comic book day stories that appeared in our free comic book day books over about 3 years, and had a blast doing it. And now that Ape's no more, we wanted to do something different, or I did, and I wanted to create some more characters that are funny animal superhero type characters. That is one thing I've discovered, that funny animal superhero in that Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew vein. When I sit down to start writing and creating characters and concepts for that, I literally am laughing to myself as I'm sitting here writing bad puns. And to me, that is a sign that I'm having so much fun doing what I'm doing. So what I did is I sat down and took, a lot of stuff that never got used, and that I said, okay, we're going to tweak this up, and I'm going to add a whole bunch of new stuff to it. And that's what we started doing. And I started adding tons of characters and creating a ton of new characters. And then I reached out to Mike and said, hey, buddy, what do you think about this? And he was like, oh, man, I am so on board for this. Let's go. So Mike and I have basically created a new character concept that we are calling Pause for Justice. And Pause stands for Powerful Animals of the World for Justice. And we are in the process right now. We've created a ton of characters. We've been tweaking concepts on those. We have hired an artist. His name is Diego, and he is doing some amazing character concepts for us, which I will show you once I have Mike on the podcast, and we can talk a little bit more about that. His artwork is fantastic. He's turning around these character designs super quick. So we'll have some stuff to show you pretty soon. Mike and I have talked about the plots for the script and ideas that we want to do, and we've gone back and forth a couple of times. He is actually on vacation this week and is writing as I do this podcast, the script for our 8-page story. So we've got a lot of stuff in the works, guys. That's kind of what's going on. And what I've done this week, honestly, is basically worked on creating those new characters, story plots with Mike. And then as Diego has finished up all of the first wave of designs, which is the first 4 characters that we needed for the first story, I've gone in and laid down flat colors on those so that we get a rough idea of what the characters are going to look like when they're fully fleshed out. And let me tell you, they're pretty kick-ass, guys. They look like a lot of fun. I'm smiling from ear to ear because I'm having such a blast working on these with Mike. It's so much fun, and Diego too. And then I just sent over the second wave of characters to him yesterday, so he can start working on the last 3 that we're going to eventually need to round out the entire team. So it's a lot of fun, guys. I mean, I'm having a blast doing this, and just like I said, it's fun. And it's so much fun to work with these guys that I just absolutely love and admire the work that they've done. I just cannot tell you enough how much fun I'm having right now doing it. So anyway, that gets us past building blocks. I want to jump into crowd surfing for a minute. As you guys know, this is the point where I talk about the different things that I found out there on the different crowd surfing platforms that have made an impact on me in the last few weeks. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. The first one up is the black coat. And it's the black coat to do or to die, but once. Ben Licious, who's the creator of the black coat, we actually had the pleasure. Ben was publishing Black Coat, and then he ran into some issues with the Alias, the publisher that was doing it, where they were actually in the process of going out of business. He didn't know what he was going to do because the series had been solicited, and we stepped in as Ape Entertainment and offered Ben the opportunity to publish the Black Coat original series at Ape, which we did. We did the original series, and then we turned around and I believe did 2 more miniseries and then a one-shot that came out. And I loved working with Ben. He's super creative. The concept for this is amazing. Revolutionary War superhero who wears a tri-corner hat and then fights all kinds of crazy supernatural monsters and the British and everything else, and spies, the whole 9 yards. It's fantastic. So Ben just recently launched a Kickstarter for this new Black Coat series, To Die But Once. Ben is seeking $9,000 as a goal. He currently sits at $6,061 with 72 backers and has 16 days to go on his Kickstarter. So I ask you, please, if you can and are so inclined, back this Kickstarter. As I've said before, I don't normally back every crowdfunding thing that I talk about, but this one I did back. I am a backer of the Black Coat To Die But Once. I love this character so much. And I encourage everyone to please go out and check it out. I'll put the links in the description below. You can find it if you just go type in The Black Coats on Kickstarter. It'll take you there. You will love this series. The art is amazing by Gabriel Hardman. Ben is a fantastic writer. Cannot give this enough praise, guys. I really can't. So what I'm going to do is I'll play the video real quick. Hopefully I've got it loud enough here. I may have to adjust the volume for just a second here. So if you wouldn't mind, just bear with me while I get everything ready to go.
Hello, my name is Ben Licious, and I'm the co-creator and writer of The Black Coat, pulp-inspired adventure comic full of swashbuckling, espionage, sinister occult forces, pirates, and monsters, all set in New York City at the start of the Revolutionary War. Black Coat was first published in 2006 by Ape Entertainment. During that initial run, we produced several chapters of an ongoing series and a handful of standalone stories, always doing our best to create compelling comics with writing that appeals to adventure fans and artwork by professional award-winning artists like Francesco Francamilla, Gabriel Hardman, and the incredible Dean. It's been 10 years since the last Black Coat book was published, That's too long. It's time to make things right. This new series will pick up where our last book, The Blackest Eye, left off. Issue 1 will be a 32-page full-color comic and feature the new story and plenty of exclusives. So the scripts are written. He was once again at his art table, pencil sharpened, ready to paint. All we need is you.
Well, there you go, guys. That's the Black Coat. Like I said, totally worth watching or checking out. I will say too, Ben did one thing with a Kickstarter that if I could recommend this to every single person doing a Kickstarter, show yourself on this camera, on this reel that you create. Tell us about you, about your story. Tell us about your comic book and show us what's inside of it. I have a hard time backing and following a project if all you're going to do is play music and show me image flashes go by second. That doesn't compel me. I want to hear from the creator. I want to hear about your story and about your character. So congratulations, Ben. You did a great job on that. As we scroll down, I mean, Ben's got a whole bunch of tiers that are here. I believe the one that I backed, I got the $15 tier, which is the cover A and the digital comic. So I backed that one. That was really cool. That's another thing too that Ben did as well that I appreciate is having a tier that's under $20 as an entry level tier for people to be able to get the product. I mean, I think that's so important because then you can do add-ons and stuff as you go. But just look at some of this artwork that we got here that's coming out. It's just gorgeous. I mean, such a great series. Go check this out. I think you guys will love it. I know I do. If you can't tell, I'm a huge Black Coat fan. So there's some of the 8 books that we created that we did with Ben. A lot of great stuff going on. So anyway, that's the first one. So go check it out. Like I said, if you don't feel like, or you can't afford at the time, you know what? Pardon me, guys. There's no shame in not being able to afford something. You know, groceries are expensive, gas is expensive, so sometimes we can fund back these things, and sometimes we just can't. But if you can't, even if you can't back it as a Kickstarter tier, at least share it on your social media feeds. Let people know about it. It really helps them out an awful lot. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the last one. So the last one we have here is John Carter of Mars. It's the audio series RPG. It is really cool. It was brought to my attention by a really good friend of mine named Liz Folda, who owns a company called the Sphinx Group, which is a marketing agency that helps independent publishers, game publishers, comic publishers market their companies and the product that they're putting out. She knows how much I love pulp related stuff, and she's like, Brent, I think you'll really like this. I'm working with these guys. I'm like, okay, let's see what we got here. So the guys are looking for $10,000 goal. They currently set at $39,248. So I think they're pretty set there. But you know, they've got days to go. Let's help them out. Let's push it if we can. Okay, 22 days left on this Kickstarter for the guys. I'm going to play the video, let you guys take a look at it. But if you love John Carter, I liked the Disney movie. I just don't think it got marketed correctly. I think it was fantastic. And this series sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun as well. So let's hop into this real quick, and I'll let you guys take a look.
For 10 years, my body lay undiscovered in an Arizona cave. Then I awoke and opened my eyes upon a strange and weird landscape. I knew it once. I was on Mars. My name is John Carter. John Carter of Mars.
You've read the books. You've played the games. You've seen the movie. Now experience the groundbreaking science fiction epic from the creator of Fox. No way you would never heard before. Pocket Universe Productions and Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated presents John Carter of Mars, the audio series. An immersive experience in sound and imagination with a full cast of top-tier actors and starring Sean Patrick Flannery of the Boondock Saints and Young Indiana Jones as John Carter. A movie for the mind's eye, available as a digital download or double CD set, including an RPG supplement, compatible with the 5th edition of the world's most popular role-playing and OSR Old School Revival rules, along with a detailed map of Mars from John Carter's adventures, and collector's editions of the classic novel A Princess of Mars, both in English and in Martian Barsoomian. And finally, the first of its kind, a stuffed plush of John Carter's loyal Martian companion, Lola. Make a pledge today. Bring John Carter of Mars, the audio series, to life.
There you go, guys. So that's the John Carter series. Like I said, the guys, they've got all of their goals set up as well too over here. If you want to check them out, there's all kinds of things you can do to help support. Getting that plush would be pretty sweet. So like I said, I'm a big fan of pulp inspired adventure, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well too, especially the old Marvel comic. I remember I've had those. I buy a ton of those into the store as well. They've just got some really fun things. I mean, look at how cute is that? Anyway, so like I said, if you're inclined, feel free to support this Kickstarter. If you can't or don't want to spend money on supporting it, just share it, let people know about it. It helps the guys out an awful lot and helps them get some notice on this particular Kickstarter. It looks like a lot of fun. So again, that's what I would recommend, guys. I'll have links in the description of this vlog to let you guys know where you can go and find it on Kickstarter. So that is pretty much about what I've got going on this week, guys. I just wanted to have an opportunity to sit and chat with you and let you kind of know what's up. I'll be back here in the next week or so, and we'll talk some more about what's going on at Crown. I'll also try to get some of the guys involved so we can get them in for one of the episodes also. That's it, and I hope you guys have a great week and have some fun. Let's make some comics. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.